Hey there, it's Mr. Leatherwood. I'm all by myself, but today I'm going to teach you how to multiply decimals using numbers. And what I mean by that is we've done the box method, partial products using a box. I'm going to show you partial products without a box, and then I'm going to show you a couple other ways that you can figure out multiplying decimals as well, and then you can pick which way is your favorite. Alright, let's get started. So first one we're going to do, we're going to just try to start with some easy ones. 1 2/10 times 3 5/10. And first thing I always do when I'm multiplying decimals is I try to estimate. So 1 2/10 is close to 1, and 3 5/10 is close to 3. You could also go close to 4, whichever one, as long as we kind of get close. 1 times 3 is 3. If you did 1 times 4 and you got 4, that would be fine too. So we know our answer should be close to 3, okay? Or close to 4. So we'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out my numbers. I'm just going to write them right on top of each other. And hopefully I can make enough room here. Alright. Now, partial products. So I'm going to do 5/10 times 2/10 first. So I'm going to do 5/10 times 2/10. And if you remember, a tenth times a tenth is 100th. So I'm just going to do a little 100th. 5 times 2 is 10, so it's going to be 10 hundredths. Then I'm going to go over and I'm going to do 5/10 times 1 whole. Well, 1 whole times 5/10 is going to be 5/10. You'll notice I'm lining up my decimals. That way when I add them, I can go straight down. Okay, so I'm done with my 5/10. Now I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3 times 2/10. 3 times 2/10, so that's a whole times a tenth. So my answer is going to be in the tenth. So I'm going to end up getting 6/10. And then my last one happens to be my easiest one because I'm just going to do 3 times 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. So then I'm going to add them all together. You'll notice all my decimals are lined up. My answer's decimal should be right underneath. And then I like to fill in all these zeros. That way I don't get messed up at all. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it down. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 is going to be 12. I'm going to regroup. 3 plus 1 is 4. So my answer ends up being 4 20 hundredths, or 4 2/10. And you'll notice that that is very close to my original estimate of 3, and it'd be really close if I estimated to 4. Okay, so you can see all I did was multiply just using partial products like I used to do with whole numbers. If I did 5 times 2, I got 10. 5 times 10, I got 50. Okay, same thing here. 5 times 2/10 was 10. 5/10 times 1. Okay, so that's partial products. Now I want to show you the same problem, but not doing partial products, doing more of a traditional method. So give me just a second to erase. Okay, so let's do it again. So let's do 1 2/10 times 3 5/10. I'm going to show you more of a traditional way of multiplying. And then I'll show you one more step after that. So let's write these down. Estimate first. So we've already done this. 1 times 3 equals 3. That's going to be important. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do the math. So I'm going to write it on top of each other. Okay. Notice the big number is not on top. It really doesn't matter. And just a little note, you don't have to line up the decimals when you're multiplying decimals. You're more than welcome to, but you don't have to. It just so happens it does work here. So now I'm going to multiply in a traditional sense. But before I do that, I'm going to write what the place value is on each of these numbers. And what I mean by that is it's 1 2/10. So it's going to be in the smallest place value goes to the tenths. And then you'll notice it's 3 5/10. Okay? The reason I do this is now I can think, okay, if I take a tenth of a tenth, or if I multiply tenth times a tenth, I'm going to end up getting 100th. So this helps me because that tells me when I finish all my multiplication, I need it to go to the hundredths place. And you're going to see how that works here in just a second. So I'm going to do traditional multiplication, not worrying about the decimal at this point. So I'm just going to multiply like normal. 5 times 2 is 10. I'm going to regroup. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more would be 6. I'm done with my 5, so I'm going to add a 0 here. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to add those together. It's 0. 6 and 6 is 12. I'm going to regroup. And you'll notice I get that same answer, but there's no decimal. It's 420. So then I have to figure out where the decimal goes, and that is where this comes in play. We did a tenth times a tenth, so it's going to equal 100th. So that's going to tell me that my decimal needs to go right here. Another way to figure out where that decimal goes is to use my estimate. So I did 1 and 2 tenths times 3 and 5 tenths, which is going to be close to 3, which if I put my decimal right there, that's going to make it close to 3. So there's just a couple of ways to figure it out. You can write it out like this, out to the right, or you can use your estimate to figure it out. Alright, just a couple of ways to do it. So that's partial products, which is probably more of a mathematical reasoning type way to do it. And then we have this traditional method, which is probably how Mom and Dad grew up doing it. And they probably have a different strategy of figuring out where the decimal goes. But I think this gives us a logical reason if we use our estimate to put it there. And this gives us a numerical reason. We're multiplying a tenth times a tenth, which gives us our hundredth. So try a couple on your own. Try some bigger numbers too. Maybe try, let me give you a number that you can try that kind of push you a little bit. So hold on one second, I'll erase all this. Alright, so let's give you a bigger number. This may be a little tricky for you. So let's do 9 and 25 hundredths times 3 and 5 tenths. So try this just using the numbers and then see how you do. So go ahead and pause the video and then I'll come back and show you how to do it. Alright, let's see. We can do partial products, we can do traditional. I'll show you the traditional way. Or maybe I can show you both. Let's see if I have some room. Think I can do it? I wish I could hear your answers. Yes, Mr. Leatherwood, we think you can do it. No, Mr. Leatherwood, there's no possible way. Mr. Leatherwood, you're a weirdo because you're talking to yourself. Okay, so let's see if I can show a couple ways. So first thing I'm going to do is estimate. So this is about 9, and this is about 3 or 4. Doesn't matter which. I'll do 4. So 9 times 4 is 36. So my answer towards the end needs to be close to 36. Alright, so let's do partial products. 5 tenths times 5 hundredths. A tenth of a hundredth is a thousandth. So this is the hard part. Gives you 25 thousandths. So you can see how partial products can be a little tricky. It's more mathematically sound, but it is a little tricky. 5 tenths times 2 tenths. A tenth times a tenth is 100. So it's going to be 10 hundredths. And then 9 times 5 tenths is going to give you a tenth. So we know that's 45 tenths, or 4 and 5 tenths. Okay, then I'm going to do 3, a whole number 3 times 5 hundredths. So that's going to be 15 hundredths. 3 times 2 tenths is going to be 6 tenths. And then 3 times 9 is 27. Now again, I like to fill in all these zeros just so I make sure I line everything up and I don't mess anything up. Okay. And hopefully I did all that right, didn't make any mistakes. We'll see here in a second when I do traditional. So let's add all those up. I get 5, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Regroup up here. 4, 5 plus 7 is 12. Regroup. So I get 32 and 375 thousandths. So we're going to see if we get the same thing over here. We're just going to do traditional, but I am going to go ahead and say, well, this is 100th. This is a 10th. So a 10th of 100th would be 1,000th, which would work. If we look over here, we got to the thousands place, so hopefully we're okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to carry. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. I'm going to regroup again. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 1 is 46. I'm done with this 5, so I'm going to add a 0. Remember, this is traditional method. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more was 7. And 3 times 9 is 27. If I did all that right, let's see if they match. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to regroup again. Whew, they match. So we either messed up both times or got them right both times. We'll hope that we got them right. Alright, so 2 ways to figure out where the decimal goes here. I can look up here and say, oh, it needs to be close to 36. So if I put it here, it'd be 323. That'd be too big. If I put it here, it'd be 3. So I think the decimal goes here. Another way to do it is see, oh, I did 100 times a tenth, which equals 1,000th, which means I need my decimal to go right here. So that works too. Alright, so kind of pick which way you like. Try a couple on your own. Try some bigger numbers, some smaller numbers, and see how you do. Good luck.